on the board here, Avenger. Doesn't mean to say that Joker certainly can't either.
No, I mean, that's what I'm expecting for them, especially on the days here that we have 3 Miramars. So I'm expecting a Joker's win. I'm going to keep saying it until they do it on Miramar. But let's hope we see one from them either this game or the next one.
Well, let's get in. It is going to be game number 27 here for week 2 of the PUBG Europe League as we head over to Sims and Demon for the action once again. Let's find out where that plane is a-flying.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to match 27. Still a very long way to go. Sims is with me all week long, and all phase long, actually, should point out. But here we go. It's another decent playing path. No complaints, I don't think, from too many teams. We may see whether FaZe Clan decide to adjust it, whether they go Monte Nuevo. I think they probably will this time. And more importantly, whether they can adjust where the hell their points are going. Because while Navi are on the ascension, FaZe are slipping down that table.
Time and time again, we see them going for the kind of the Monte Nuevo, the Adilla split, and the circle just is never, ever easy for them. I know it's obviously not a game about that, but certainly on this map, being able to rotate in, get central, take the fights when you need to, it really does help a tremendous amount. But currently with FaZe, what we're seeing is every time they decide to rotate, they are just being slammed by a wall of players just protecting the edge of that circle. And honestly, every time they approach it, they're already kind of tanked up before they're even allowed to take the next fight.
I mean, and the biggest problem with FaZe, and it's the same with standard Miramar issues, has been for a long time, is they're a team that like to take fights. But the problem is, third party is a massive part of it when you're on Miramar. So they, for example, they took a fight with Digital Athletics. Yeah, they were happy. They were taking a fight. Bam. Third party in the back, instantly downed. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We're going to see a punching finish. Enoch down.
BM.
I mean, I hate to say it, but he's got about a 50-minute wait right now before he gets back in game again. So definitely feels bad.
Rotations will begin to happen as we get the circle. And she does shine down and actually might get a little bit of respite here for FaZe. However, they will be the last arriving to that circle because been the furthest away, unfortunately, due to the playing path. However, they might be favoured by it. It all depends, though. By the time they get the boots on the ground and get fully geared up, you're going to have teams like Liquid, maybe even TSM, the early... sorry, not TSM, Vitality. Your early rotators that are going to be already trying to hunker down a decent position within this circle. It's fairly good. You know, you have this huge main road that runs all the way from down the south and pretty much goes all the way up to the north. So Monte Nuevo being in the middle of there, not necessarily in the middle of there, but generally in the middle of it. It's hard to... given this circle, it's kind of hard to switch where it's going to go. And I'm trying to envision what are going to be the main points of entry for people who might have a problem should it decide to go up north. You'd expect maybe FaZe that might try and loot up where they're at, if you could. I mean, there's plenty of gear to do it. I'm struggling to envision where this one would go and how it would suit those down in the south, or if there's any reason really to play the south right now. Yeah,
well, I mean, FaZe are kind of still in this position. I think they're trying to go to Valdemar or whatever, you know, their usual route. That was Rostanmar landing his vehicle onto his first victim and the only victim so far of the game. Still early days, 3 minutes, rotations-wise will cause a few problems for teams. Red Diamond's in a prime spot. Digital Athletics looking to maybe, I think I'm seeing Sixmo on the move already, so maybe he's going to go looking. But Navi, you know, maybe just touched up on the desk. You know, are we going to see a win coming out of them today? Because they're certainly looking decent yesterday. They've gone up the table. I think they're only about 6 points behind FaZe now. You know, we've been talking about how bad Navi have been, but, you know, they're catching, and if they were to have a good day, you know, I'm talking a 50-point day, which is a good day, which is like the strong day, strong performance, they're suddenly going to be, you know, sniffing around that top 5 again. It's crazy.
And this is the thing with PUBG, is that it's not, I say it's not hard, it's easy for us to sit here and say it's not hard, but it isn't that hard to be able to jump up. It's probably the better way of doing it. You get a couple of good games under your belt, plenty of kills in the bag, even average placements, you know, you get 10 kills, hit double digits, it's 10 points done, simple as that. You get up into that top half of the leaderboard, you're talking 12, 15, 16, upwards of 20 points quite easily. A couple of those in one sitting, and you go flying up at the table. you know what? I'll give TSM credit where credit's due. They've been doing really well. They've been taking fights. They've been proactive about their position. They've been quite reactive to individual fights and third party and where they've been kicking off and where they've been happening and perpendicular to where they've been located on the map. But still, they've had a lot of wins, to be honest. They've been a lot of top. But then you'll see all of a sudden the 16th place is coming out. But you've got the kills which kind of buffer that. You know, they're still in the top form. They're still doing well. However, you've got to keep going. You can't just sit there and hope that, all right, we've got kills in the bag now. We've got a decent placement. Let's just keep hovering around this area. These teams have to keep playing until the very, very end. And the ones that are in the top 4 now, this time next week, could all be quite easily in the bottom 4.
Well, you can look at teams that are there right now, you know, who, like, for example, G2, they had a massive week last week. Huge performances, but kind of been nowhere so far this week. You know, it could easily swing around.
I
speaking
think
of swinging around, by the way,
tilted. To be honest,
they do look a little bit off. I don't know. Maybe it's
there isn't much communication in the the post-game, pre-game. They just sit there.
And it could come from the fact that obviously some of these teams, you know, this is the first time that they've kind of lived together. Basically, you know, this can be the positive and the negative that you can get from a gaming house. You know, sometimes at the end of the day, if you are living, breathing, working with the same person for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for many weeks running, eventually something's going to break. You know, unless you're in like the most harmonious team in the world, people will sometimes, you know, not get on. And if that bleeds into the workplace, it can be a problem. I don't know whether that's it. I'm completely speculating here.
Really quickly, I want to touch on something that Winstrike are doing, and I think it's really smart if it is on purpose. They might be getting directly in front of the Jokers. There is potential here for them to, obviously we've heard of bridge camping and Erangel, but canyon camping. If they come down just past the side of El Pozo and get set up, they could destroy the Jokers on entry. Maybe they've avoided it, but again, knowing where people and pre-guessing where people are going to be rotating from, or at least using, okay, well, this is a choke point, let's set up here. It's a wonderful thing to see, and it's a wonderful thing to see when it actually pays off and it's executed perfectly. They've decided to come down the western side of the circle, so clearly it's not going to happen, but there is an option or two to do that. Raise your edge. Probably don't realize how lucky they're going to get, because if they go through San Martin and approach the circle, it's going to be even El Pozo.
And I wanted to talk
dead.
about that because TSM kind of obviously last game, you know, they kind of bumped into NIP. They lost a player, remember? This time, obviously, well aware that San Martin is NIP territory. They kind of danced around it this time, and then went up the hillside and sort of down towards Power Grid. Whereas NIP sort of waited for them to pass by and went, okay, well, you gone that way, we'll go the other way, and they've kind of moved into the northern side of Picado. Well, actually, in the entirety of Picado. There seems to be a team that's comfortable in cities, it seems, because obviously they were happy to sit in San Martin, which a lot of teams shy away from. G2 also gone up onto the hills in and around TSM, and as you mentioned, Raise Your Edge, they've been bought this open playing field, really, for them to choose their rotation passes. There's not really a concern for them as they move in, because Winstrike and Jokers have took a really deep southwest swing, haven't they? I got a feel they're expecting the circle to pull away from Picado.
I'm wondering, to kind of expand on the NIP thing, if they're more comfortable in these situations. Oh, trade him. Just taking out Michael. That's a headshot with a K9. The Knights are really good snipers. I have noticed this. The marksmen.
They might finish him off. They're still shooting at this.
The range that they're allowed to pick faces is absolutely disgusting. You always see them floating around with the sniper. One of the teams that kind of...
That's a distant shot there, isn't it? Look at that.
But to touch a bit more on the NIP situation, you have to remember when we're playing off Erangel, they're playing with two far points when you look towards South George and Lipovka.
They like to call Lipovka now East George Bowl.
Well, they are on opposite ends of the map, right? Rather than being central. When you look at San Martin, you're more central. There's not a huge rotation off the back of that. Regardless of where the circle goes on the map, anywhere, all right, it's always going to be bumpy road. That's the whole story of Miramar, yeah? You get the vehicles, you've got to do the mounts, you've got to run the terrain. But it's a lot more easy for them to rotate two circles, regardless of where they are on this map, unless it's completely off the face of the planet. You look at them on Erangel, there's a lot more time. You know, they have to go earlier if circle's on the opposing end. With this one, they can sit, they can tank up, they get geared up, and they can pretty much go wherever they want.
Well, we'll see. And there is the circle. Okay, so, I mean, it's still a decent-sized circle. Picardo Commissera is still very much engaged in it. Even a chunk of Los Leones. This shows really how big Mirado? Well, there is a big Mirado, but how big Miramar can be. It does look like we're going to see now, obviously, the teams that were over the west are going to take a southern swing. I guess they're going to jump around. That's the Winstrikes, the Jokers, maybe even FaZe Clan. I wonder where they're going to go here, because rotations haven't been, honestly, their best play right now. Looking towards some of the teams, we can see Voxic and co from the Knights. They're just going to leapfrog up a compound and see whether FaZe, who were sitting on Ladrilla in the happy spot, as we see Squeaky, the kill leader, being the second player down in the game. The Wanderer finds him.
I mean, these top fraggers, you have to be prepared to be able to take those fights, and that's why he is their main scout. Okay, he can do damage, but you'd rather have someone who can do damage and clear out a compound on their own solo than someone who's just going to flop and panic when they go inside a compound. Obviously, Squeaky is up there with the best of them, but that's the...
Do you have anyone in mind, mate? Flopping and panicking in a compound?
Not necessarily. I just mean when you have, you know, you've obviously got different roles and different positions on a team, and like you always used to see it on FaZe with Jempty.
The towel carriers.
People would always
like
kind of say, well, he's always dying, he's always dead. Well, yeah, because the
he's
man
the forward scout.
He's an absolute beast of an entry fragger. So you're going to throw him in a building, you're going to want him going to a compound and, more importantly, either defending it or removing anyone else who's in there. So you have to be able to take those individual battles.
Oh, that's the classic.
It's the nature of the beast,
isn't it? The entry fraggers in you know, the Counter-Strike days. You know, it's entry fragger. It can be hit and miss. They can be heroes or villains in like within a minute. And, you know, entering inside a minute.
It's the nature of the beast. If you're going to be this scout, you are going to be up on the board, you are going to get involved in fights, and you are going to be pulling off things that are going to be put in someone's montage and on YouTube tomorrow, but you're also going to be dead first a lot.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just the way it plays out. FaZe actually chose to come out of La Drilla and go to the high tip of Commissera, which actually I quite like. It's given them a big aerial view looking down on what you're seeing right here, Digital Athletics and Na'Vi. And obviously they have this high point where they can look down on these compounds from that Commissera edge. Team Liquid decided to actually all consolidate into one compound. Jempty has been down, but he'll just get back on his feet. He's inside buildings. ENCE rotated a long way. They're on the western side of Los Leones. There you go. So Jempty just getting back on his feet. Hello. Ibby, not a clean res, runs away quickly. G2 in the shack. They've actually gone for a big 2-2 split. We're going to see something really from G2, I feel. It is a really... I mean, there's no way they can support each other with that spread either.
If two of them go down, they're pretty much dusted, to be honest. There's absolutely nothing you can do on that one. And you have to be aware that ENCE is very, very close to Udia. His position. They might see the traces and really want to get involved in this one. The Knights on the opposing side to Red Diamonds. Probably don't realise it, but TSM are up in the north. TSM have gone for
spread. Look at that.
An insane split. Maybe the reason Michael's done this, and just obviously if you guys are watching the map stream as well, he's all the way up in the north, he's all the way up in the mountainside, just above Picardo. If that circle does go all the way up to the north...
Just in case you're not sure where the map is, boys.
He can just... if this plays out now, he can bomb Picardo. He can take the front of it and just control it and peacock anyone who wants to come near it. He also can control the crossroads. He might not want to do that. There might be other options and other players. Gustav's obviously more central, and so is Rory. But if the circle had gone that way, he's in a prime position already.
Look at these southern rotations. This is going to get messy,
FaZe
isn't it?
FaZe,
Navi, all trying to blast in. Winstrike and M19 sort of clashing. Jokers is kind of going to find a home. Reacher Edge are trying to bump their way in there as well. It's going to get very messy very soon. And this is what we're talking about so often. You know, once you hit these 4th and 5th phases, when you start moving through them, if it's not a hard shift like it is now, you can just be third-partied out of the game before you even have a chance to do anything caught in a rotate. So maybe try and look for those engagements earlier on. Navi themselves, they were looking at Digital Athletics for a long period of time. They are kind of faced with FaZe Clan now because FaZe beat them in there on the rotate. So Navi have found themselves in this compound. You can see FaZe looking to spread and surround.
Phase 3, 13-13 to the game, and only 2 people have fallen. It's going to be really busy. And again, I mentioned this terminology last week, but a powder keg. As soon as a couple of teams face off against one another, the third party becomes a viable option. Obviously, with this circle, it's quite spread. There's a lot of individual compounds that are either denied line of sight or certainly a fair distance from the next team that's already hunkered up and ready to go.
What a move by ENCE. How did they manage to just dive in and get that compound? How was that available
I think it's because this circle is so... All right, it's small, but it's really centered on a lot of individual compounds. So you'll have people preempting already and looking in the distance, using the sniper rifle, seeing what's clear, is anybody inside the buildings, and being able to kind of commit to them rather than just flopping around. You've seen FaZe now commit several times. Looks like Batulin's going to commit to the floor, unfortunately.
Oh, Chris, wow. Actually, he got a bit of hit. I think that was CrowCrowd that maybe took a shot, and I'm not too sure. But either way, managed to get the knockdown. Guys, if you are watching at home and you're thinking, oh, I want to see everything, well, you can.
This net could be good.
Twitch have come out with the squads. You don't need to use multi-Twitch anymore. Just do twitch.tv. Get the PEL_.
Oh, this nerd.
Oh, hello. I'm watching.
Maybe.
I was trying to fill until he threw it, but he's kind of holding onto it for dear life. I'm not too sure what he's planning on, but you can get the map stream on, you can get the main stream on, you can get the team streams on, you can do it all with twitch.tv to do slash and then whatever stream you like, and then another slash and another slash and another slash, and get multiple screens all at once, and it's all on Twitch. Squads is all now available. It's brilliant.
A lot of slashing there, Lee.
There's a lot of slashing. Got to slash all over the place. Brexco is going to be slashing it if he doesn't manage to land this bike properly, because if you flip that, he's going to try and join Kate in the distance there. So G2 regrouping. They had a really wide spread, but all three will be there, because Udir is actually miles away in the blue. Don't really know what he's doing.
He's probably seeing if this goes down south.
Oh,
Bang.
That's a hard shift for Circle 4. That is a hard shift, guys.
The western
and the Jokers and Red Diamonds are like, well, that's all right. That's paid off for us, boys. We're up on the hills.
So the question is now, who decides to move into a choke point position? Are anybody going to try and mop teams up on arrival? Raise Your Edge have to move in from Bacado, take the main road, nothing else they can really do. NIP will actually hold them back. NIP are inside the circle. They can hit the roadside edge here if they really want to. G2 might try and skirt around and hit there's a very tiny northern compound that's only just in. There is one free just up to the northwest.
Now, Trifley's just gone for a ditch, and if he calls that safe and the rest of the teams come up, they are very much, I think, in nade range for Team Liquid to just pop a nade over the top. Udir down, he was the solo player from G2. The rest of the team had regrouped.
Will they get rest of them getting tanked up lane in the north?
They took a big wide north. Yeah, Wookie's found Kane. Brexco might be able to make it in the north side, but that's going to be Kane gone. So Chris now very separated from Brexco. And again, G2, some really...
He went for the only compound left, as far north as you can get. So if that circle doesn't, I mean, it won't. That next compound is gone. That's not playing ahead. That's playing for survival. Chris is miles away as well, so he's probably going to die. Fast Rail's doing his normal thing. M24, that boy finds them every single map and finds faces as well as
They're looking for a
shack.
deck. They're just sending it in, looking for a shack. They've actually, how they got 4 alive? Okay, there we go. Now they're starting to get knocks. I was like, how did they manage to get all 4 into that ditch? They might be able to get them back on their feet. There's Trifley, who is down the ditch. He's just below Team Liquid. M19, they're coming into the same shack. They saw one. Oh, he's going to pop a nade in there. Tries to get out. Oh, he thought he'd actually managed to block the door, but he will be able to get out. Tixu is going to go down to the nade. Jorski should get back in safe, and I saw Dimmy in the distance there, who will also get in there. But Winstrike, the winners of the last round, will lose 2.
If he was purposely blocking the door with a vehicle, that's an IQ 9000 player, and I'd be very impressed.
It almost paid off. It
almost worked.
Digital Athletics trying to bail. Navi pressuring them. ENCE, you can see, have pulled up right on towards CrowCrowd. ENCE actually trying to bail out of that one, along with DA.
Well, Trifel is obviously taken, I mean, you mentioned it earlier on, so he'll be ahead of the game and have a ditch that they can play off the back of. So why take this fight? Why stay in the compound? Because they're going to have to move anyway. They get ahead of the game here and play for CrowCrowd to actually move outside the building. We saw earlier on, Raise Your Edge moving from Picado and past it. Unfortunately, NIP, for them, they re-rotated. They went back on themselves and came in. And now they have to face up against 2 teams. Raise Your Edge on one side, TSM on the other.
Well, Navi backing up. They went looking for the frags, but they still have to push in towards FaZe Clan. They're not really in the circle just yet. You can see up on the hillside with M19 there, Constantine inside. There goes DA. That's Beautiful Death and Sixmo going down in a ball of flames. Rostonmar trying to find himself an angle on Magister there as CrowCrowd still not inside the zone, by the way. They're just trying to pick up as many kills as they can. And this is what we're starting to see more and more of. It's like, okay, chances are we're probably going to have to make a ditch play here. Let's see what we can get before we make that play. Can we pick up just a couple of points before we face the inevitable death?
They're doing an awful lot, to be honest with you, to several different teams on several different angles. Even Outplayers now falls victim to him. this is fantastic. Finally, they will take out Rustamar, so they will be able to make some sort of move here. Raise Your Edge also falling under the hammer. TSM doing damage. The Danish fragger Gustav finds one. Finds a second one. That's another knock as well. Mikas still continuing the onslaught there to CrowCrowd. They got ahead of the game early. It was a good play from them and a good call to just get inside a ditch. They've overextended slightly out of the white and backs up against the blue. They'll have to work for the money here. They've got a very small area to play with, and a lot of teams are going to encroach upon them.
Yeah, ENCE have got like cover really, because, you know, Vitality are in that shack and they can see the top of that hill, so Na'Vi can't push down on them. FaZe Clan, they're on the move. They've managed to get in vehicles, so Mexi's going for it, jumping between to the next hill, trying to get himself a bit of a scouting angle for the rest of the team. CrowCrowd, oh dear me, that's a nade waiting to happen.
What do you do here?
But I mean, they've got nowhere to go either. FaZe have managed to find Na'Vi. Na'Vi trying to push into that compound. They really didn't have another choice. They either went over the brow of the hill, Na'Vi, into Vitality and Team Liquid, or they come back around and try and push onto FaZe Clan, and they chose to take the fight. Looks like it hasn't really worked out for them. Recrent, the last man standing for them. Razor Edge, they kind of blasted for it and actually paid off for them. They've got in there. There's a double nade. Dimash and tap down.
Digital Athletics falls victim once again to ENCE, who are just sitting here in this little pit, waiting for people to come and wash their way. They've got the side of the road, and more importantly, they can move just up on that ridge that's directly behind them. It gives them cover, but it also gives them a line of sight. That's the third nade now in a row. 2 for 1 came in earlier on. Kemba's all tanked up. Red Diamond should easily advance on this one.
Well, he's got a Grozer in his hand, which means he has some level 3 gear. FaZe went across towards the hillside. They've kind of been spotted. Bestlock manages to come back around there. FaZe forced to back away because they're taking fire from Team Liquid as well. So they thought they'd found themselves a pretty safe spot. But you can see the tracer fire blasting past them as Red Diamonds and Jokers continue their trade on this hillside. All of these really playing edge side. FaZe, they're going for it. Fuzzface is on a bike. He's on a bike. He's going center.
He's got a friend on his back as well, so there's 2 of them on the back of that thing, but where really do they go? Oh, okay, they've taken the ditch.
They've just gone ditch.
They've just absolutely ditched it, the vehicles. That's a good play from them. There's nowhere else to go, and they found something and made it work.
Well, Set's going to fall here. That's going to be the CrowCrowd going down. 14th place for them as soon as Set gets out of the blue and tries to make his way in. So FaZe Clan, they've got that little ditch spot. They're going to see whether they can get some kills now. You can see they want to get involved on this Red Diamond Jokers fight, and they have! Dimash gets down by Uber, and now Senya picked off by Team Liquid.
Gone.
Third party, fourth party, everybody getting involved, and the Jokers are the team that will fall in 14th.
The team that's playing well, but still no win on the board here. Looks like they're not going to get one this time round. Mexi's confirmed as well. Team captain of FaZe hits the deck and gets instantly flushed. Liquid letting go of that. Absolutely not. ENCE directly behind them. Recrent just up on the hillside as well. Circle moves away, and only 2 teams are sitting pretty inside of it.
I think of Winstrike's ditch effort they did to get that position. They had to send it. They lost 2 just to get that shack, and now they're the only ones in there. But what's coming their way? ENCE, well, they tried.
Bye-bye.
Mikas and Trifoli got picked off in a ball of flames as they go down, and everybody else is really going to be scrambling to get in the circle.
It was best of a bad situation, to be honest, to leave Rustamar back and cause a multitude of problems for CrowCrowd. Pretty much tanked them up, and all of a sudden they walked out into the waiting arms of the 2 players left in the ditch. So to be able to pick up plenty of points is good. Recrent still hitting Team Liquid in the back. NIP, though, RIP, VOD and MBS just like that. Gustav and Michael, they open up.
That was to the north side in the distance there. Looks like Gemty wanted to get involved. You can see he's pushing up on the hillside here with nades. He wants to get FaZe down. He's looking to try and confirm some kills as they
Bestlock could breach here. Remember, he's wearing level 3 gear and also has the Grozer. So if he wants to push the Knights, I mean, he's more than welcome to.
Recrent found out. That's Na'Vi down in 10th place. Red Diamonds get over the road, so they are safe inside. Team Liquid also going for that roadside position as Raise Your Edge fast rail dodging the grenades from TSM. But Drayden with the car finds him. We haven't really talked about the Knights much. They've been sitting pretty in that warehouse. They're finally coming outside their comfort zone and into the back of the Red Diamonds. Something
we've seen a few times in the past where they're all nice and quiet, and then all of a sudden they wait to strike. And the amount of times we've seen them striking at distance, and I mentioned it earlier on, you know, we see them with a sniper rifle in their hands doing some serious damage even at range. It looks like Liquid, unfortunately, their position has been fouled.
The org working, and that's Bestlock who had the Grozer down. That was a close one, though. 1 hit points, yeah.
That's lovely from his team to be able to do that and give him the cover that he needs. Ibit sends one back the way of Pin. He's down and dead and now looks towards FaZe. The response will be there. You've got to be aware. ENCE completely insted as Uber fighting one off on his other side. Sees the little head bobbing and weaving.
There's a battle for the death. If he loses that, he's dead and done. ENCE is down already, so Uber is the last man standing, with Team Liquid trying to get as much third party as they can there on their former foes.
I think it was Winstrike. I didn't catch in the kill feed who got the, you'd assume got the nade off onto Liquid up and over, so they definitely have their position read. It's just how you approach it. You can't go over the hill because if you do, you get shot in the back.
Pop it through the window. Yep, into the window. Boom. Good night, Red Diamonds. FaZe Clan fall as well. 9th place for them, 8th place for the Diamonds. And the Knights with 4 alive will just back away. Brexco still sitting in that warehouse and waiting.
I'm glad you touched on it. I wonder if Drayden knows. He's watching. Does he know? Has he heard footsteps? The remnants of G2 just lingering.
Liquid are pushing down the road.
See, Kramer isn't looking, so I'm going to say that they don't know.
For it. Liquid are going for the back of Knights. They're going down the road.
I mean, they know they can't move to Vitality, right? They go over the hill. They got Winstrike literally waiting there to spring a trap. You get any line of sight from the Knights, they got the end of the building. They'll just smash you at range, but they could strike and strike hard directly
Vitality,
into the back.
Vitality are going for it as well. They have a really nice ridge line and they catch Jeems off. Jazza there with the headshot from range with a Mini 14 as the Knights move in. They want to pick up some of those kills as well. Liquid are in trouble.
With Vitality, who is throwing everything into the wind here for Liquid. All 4 up. All of a sudden, they lose 50% of their team. Just like that, big nade comes over. That's the initial knock, but it is a man disadvantage here. Samty and Ibit left in a 2 versus 4.
Yeah, Gemty, the last man standing, he's going to try and
oh, they lost another one, sorry.
Yeah, they lost them all, yeah. The
Vitality
catching him in the back. He's trying to blast it into the middle, find a home. So Vitality with 4 alive. Nasus Please is actually about to come over the brow and have a go at Jorski, taking a couple of those shots. The Knights still with 4 alive and TSM with 4 alive. This is a really interesting finishing position. There goes Gemty. Nade will confirm his position in 7th. As now Jorski will catch in the back by Nasus Please.
Really nice move from Nasus. Push up against the blue, and all of a sudden it's like forcing the bottleneck. You've got 2 in front of Vitality, put 2 behind the enemy of Winstrike, and let your lead assist players.
What a really interesting position we have for what we're in phase 6 here, the circle. It's a bowl, and there's 1, 2, 3 teams with 4 alive, all on the edge of that bowl that are about to be forced into one another. It's going to be mayhem. There is a couple of solo players still sticking out there. There goes one fast rail for 6th place for them. Brexco, of course, outside the back, and then Winstrike just sat in the middle of this bowl, hoping that nobody peeks over.
I think TSM probably in the best position now for the simple fact that Winstrike are going to hold back Vitality if they overextend a little bit too far. The problem is with the Knights, you can never count them out. They do some weird and wonderful plays, and more importantly, they have range. They have those Kar 98s. They're incredible marksmen. One quick peek and quick pick onto a member of TSM or Vitality, and they'll pressure it.
Shadow and Nasus here. I think that, yeah, it is. Look at that. That ridge line is inside the next circle, which is going to cause so many problems. So Vitality, they've actually pushed 2 and snuck 2 over the road, but to be fair, they could probably squeak back. They're covering off the position. TSM are going to now force the way around this northern edge, and obviously on the screen it's the southern side of the screen, but it's the northern edge of the circle, and they're going to sweep around because the Knights, they realize they can't go down that direction towards Winstrike because it's just open ground. They have to come all the way around. It's going to be a full clockwise rotation for all the teams.
Everybody with Mini 14s using the 5.56 ranged weapon. DMRs are pretty damn powerful. Do the Knights have smoke, though? Can they abuse the utility and make it into this circle with at least 3 up? Kramer clearly going to have level 3 gear with the Mark 14. Stacked up and tanked up, ready to rock and roll. Here comes the pressure, though. TSM, initial knock comes through. Monkey hits the deck. Now, the problem is, though, where do Winstrike look at? They've got to fight on 2 different angles here. Gustav will confirm that one. Kramer now moves across to Jazza. Vitality League, they are being picked apart from 2 different angles.
Yeah, there's not a great deal of angles, but they're getting stolen away here. And TSM are putting the pressure down. Shadow, honestly, they're looking across towards Pittsburgh Knights. Then why? Why? TSM is your problem right now. They're looking to push over the road on you, and just like that, they're going to catch them. TSM could sweep up here. They've got knocks on the Knights. They've got knocks on Vitality. Gustav's already coming over the road, and they're just forcing it down. Nasus is the last man standing for Vitality. What happened?
Nades are going up and over. Michael looks to the opposing side, will clean up Voxic, another point in the bag for TSM. They might be able to make a big push onto Nasus, who's getting the res inside the smoke. And regardless of what he does here, they'll be coming out, so long as they've got their head on a swivel, and we do know that TSM are good at covering their backside.
Oh, it's going to be 4. It's going to be a straight push. Any nades, Nasus. Does he have a nade in his pocket? Doesn't look like it.
Look
That's
at
the
Wookie
only
taking
thing
the
that can
back
stop them. Dimmy getting caught out there. Jorski spotted as well. TSM deal with Winstrike, and now it's Vitality they have to deal with. They're trying to pop the smokes down, but there's a 4-man spread looking on the 2 Frenchmen.
There's nothing they can do here. It would take an absolute miracle to be able to make you out of this one. They're just getting forced into this by the blue, slowly but surely.
The smokes could work for Shadow here. They could actually take it in a 2-on-2, but he's getting caught on the side. Walking with the off angle along with Gustav. And Gustav was laying the damage down. They're just going to push over the top. Nasus will get 1, but it will be taken apart.